The Allure of a Praying Woman. I am so excited about this series that I'm about to share with you all. I've been working on this ebook or this e-workbook for you guys for quite some time. I've got a couple of others up my sleeve, but this one is one of my favorites. Some of the subject matter in here comes by request in the DM and the email from the sistership and from some folks over at the Inner Peace Academy. But I'm going to get into 3 things consecrated queens offer in relationships. Now, I don't want you to feel like this just has to be about love relationships and people you're romantic with. I want you to know that these principles apply to friendship. These principles apply to the workspace. Anybody who you're in action with, anybody you're in communication with, these principles apply. These are just some things that I've received in my life, that I've experienced, that I hope helps somebody else. A lot of times when I'm at radio interviews or if I'm talking to folks out and about, kind of doing my thing, people say, Chrisette, why do you have so much peace? Or I say, I see you're glowing. I see an aura about you or around you. And I kind of just smile and nod. And if they do have some time, I always start with one thing. I always start with one thing, which is why I quote unquote have peace. And I just say, well, I'm constantly meditating. For about 10 years in the music business, if I'd go to Hot 97 or The Breakfast Club, if somebody asked me that question, I would just say, well, I'm constantly meditative, right? And I never really explained just what it meant. I never really felt like I was at liberty to explain just what it meant. But now that I've put the Inner Peace Academy together, I feel like there's no better time for me to kind of explain how I live my life. So, 3 things consecrated queens offer in a relationship. This is an overview. A praying and a meditative woman has confidence in 3 areas. 1, she's not afraid to answer specific needs. She's not afraid to offer her expertise in specific spaces and places that need her. 2, she balances being favored with being submissive. I know that's gonna get me in a lot of trouble for saying that, but wait, don't get in the comment section yet. Just let me finish. And thing number 3, she's confident with her resources. She's confident about the things that she has access to. She doesn't make excuses for why they are kind of bent a little bit or why they're kind of scratched up. No, she's got resources and she's confident in them. She understands that they are hers and hers to use. Now, I'm going to go into further details about all 3 of those things throughout this series called The Allure of a Praying Woman. But today I want to focus on 2 things. I want to focus on the title of this section, and then I want to focus on thing number 1. She answers specific needs. Now, if you've been watching me on Instagram and IGTV, you know I love to define words. So get your pen and pads out. This is going to be fun for the nerdier of us. And those of you who are a little less nerdy, sit still. Take a deep breath in. Roll those shoulders back. Exhale. Here we go. A praying and meditative woman has confidence. Let's start there. A lot of times when we talk about that word prayer, we get real weird about it. It turns real spooky for no freaking reason. Prayer is just a simple conversation between you and God. It is not a conversation between you and you. Oftentimes when we are talking to God or in the space of prayer, we begin talking to ourselves. And while it's important to talk to ourselves, prayer is not the place for that. Prayer is when we're hanging out with God. We have to be intentional about that. Otherwise, we will get loud and we'll get in the way of the voice that we're actually listening for. So just take that note. Prayer is a conversation between you and God, not necessarily a conversation between you and you. I'm going to get into what it's like to have a conversation between you and you in a second, but that conversation is not called prayer. Are you brave enough to be quiet as you listen for the voice of God? Are you brave enough to be quiet as you listen and watch for the signs of God? If you're in a constant state of prayer, then you are in a constant state of listening to see and hear and feel what God is saying, where God is going, what he's moving you to and toward. Being in a constant state of prayer requires being in a constant state of attention, giving your attention to God. That's prayer in a nutshell. Let's move on to meditation. Now, I'm going to talk about what meditation is not first. And I hate when people do that. They start off with the negative, but I got to get this off my chest. Meditation is not perseveration. Meditation is not rumination. Let's talk about perseveration and rumination. Perseveration is when you are trying to decide on the outcome of something that you have no control over. It's when you are using all of your mental energy, all of your mind power to try and decide on something that you have no control over. Gosh, I really wish it would stop raining. Gosh, if it could only stop raining. Man, what can I do there's nothing you can do about the weather. So perseverating is letting the same thought keep bugging you about something you have no control over. Sometimes we want somebody to love us. We don't have any control over whether this person loves us or not, but we want somebody to love us, so we perseverate. What can I do to be loved by this person? What can I do to be loved by them? What do I need to be loved? You have no control over something, so there is no need. It's not edifying. It's not helpful to you to perseverate. That is not meditation. So when you get into your meditative space and you find yourself trying to think through something that you have no control over, you have left the state of meditation and you've moved into perseveration. Meditation is not rumination. What is rumination? Rumination is when you think on the same thought that has an outcome you don't like and you keep repeating it. I sure wish he didn't do that. I can't believe he did that. I can't believe that just happened. Would you believe that? That is rumination. I could talk about the inside of cow's stomach and why we call cow chewing ruminating, but I won't go into my geeky side. I'm just telling you that the word rumination comes from the constant chewing of the same thing. It's this desire to break something down. It's this desire to see something for what it actually is, but sometimes it is what it is. And so rumination doesn't get you any further. Rumination is not meditation. What is meditation? Meditation is the creation of the portal between you and God's thoughts. Meditation is the creation of the atmosphere that you can create by becoming humble and submissive and attentive. It's the portal that you can create that will bring God's thoughts from heaven down through the sky into your mind. It's becoming available for what God thinks and then allowing those to become your thoughts. And then deciding to change the way you think. Meditation is the beginnings of hearing new thought. It's the beginning of identifying yourself as someone who sees it this way. And so in the beginnings of meditation, I bring my thoughts to the table. I release them. And you know what I ask? God, give me another perspective, please. The meditation part of prayer is when I begin to receive the new perspective and allow it to become my own. This is called putting on the mind of Christ. This is the single most important thing that makes me confident. This is why I am confident. This is how I am confident. I'm confident because my thoughts are not my own. I've traded them in. But it's this juxtaposition of prayer. God, can I see that differently? And meditation. Oh, I see what you see now. Let me think that. And sometimes we have to ruminate on God's thoughts until we can actually hear them. Sometimes you might be having a situation with somebody and you don't realize what God thinks about that person. And if you sit still long enough and ask God for his perspective, he'll give you a new perspective on somebody. You'll have to sit still and meditate on what he says for a sec. So she doesn't really hate me. She just wants me to be successful. She doesn't really hate me. She wants me to be successful. She doesn't hate me. She wants me to be successful. Let me write that down on a piece of paper and tack it onto my mirror for when I wake up in the morning, I can look at it. We spend so much time ruminating on our own thoughts that we don't give ourselves a chance to begin to believe God's thoughts. And so we wonder why we walk through life inconfident. We walk through life inconfident because we have no solutions. God wants to give us solutions, but we have to get still enough to hear him. And then we have to get quiet enough to think what he thinks. Then we have to get brave enough to believe what he thinks. A praying and meditative woman has confidence and clarity in the following areas. Now we're back at our original subject. I just had to get those two definitions out of the way. This is an overview for where we're going. Prayer, meditation, master that. Master that. That is the key to your confidence. Moving on. So let's move into these three areas that a praying and meditative woman has confidence and clarity in. Right? I said that I would start off with one particular item and I would save the rest for the next podcast or Podclass episodes. So thing number one is she answers specific needs. She answers specific needs. The word answer, right? The word answer means that I can be a consultant about a specific thing. If somebody asks me a question and they believe that I can help them, then I can be the answer or a consultant in a specific thing. I can be a consultant about how to sing the alto part in the choir. You can ask me just about any question about being an alto vocalist, and I can answer pretty much any question. It's not too much I don't know about being an alto vocalist. It's my area of expertise. I went to college for it. I studied it through elementary and junior high school. And high school, it is something that I have a very specific skill set in. I can answer specific needs. A praying and meditative woman has confidence in answering specific needs. So a lot of times, here's what I find. I find that if you aren't clear on what God is saying about your life and the world around you and who you are, if you don't have a praying and meditative life, then no matter what you're good at, you don't feel comfortable using it. You don't know where you're supposed to put your skill set. You don't know who you're supposed to offer your needs, your skills to. And you are petrified of being needed anywhere. You've got a pile of skill sets sky high, and you won't put them anywhere because you don't even know where to go. You don't know who to offer anything to. You don't know who to give anything to. Some days you feel guilty because you have so much and you feel stingy. You've got boxes and boxes in your place. I got a funny story. I'm in the month 7 of having a online boutique. It's been one of the most exciting endeavors of my life, probably in the past 5 or 6 years. I love fashion. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing a piece from my collection now. I love to play in clothing and I love femininity. So starting an online boutique made sense for me. This online boutique started off in my office, and my assistant and I got a bunch of boxes of all these things from California and China. And we began to pile up all these boxes one at a time, and every single time we put something online, it sold out right away. Right? It sold out right away. We were so excited. So, oh my God. We thought we bought enough things for fall, and by the time the middle of the summer came, we didn't have anything left. So we started ordering more things, and we added more boxes to our collection of things, and we put those things onto the website, and they'd sell out. Well, it got to a point where we got really excited. We were like, all right, we're doing really good with this part of the collection. Let's expand, right? Let's get bigger. And so we did. And next thing you know, my hallway, as soon as you walk into my place, my hallway is piled with boxes. And every day we're saying, well, We don't really need a warehouse yet because we can step this way and we can step over that, and if we walk sideways we can make it this way, and if we pile this box on top of this one, then we'll be able to fit in the office. We'll be able to fit in the hallway. And so we decided that we wouldn't grow. We decided that we would wait a couple of more months. And we waited 2 months, and we began to burst at the seams. Next thing you know, the kitchen had boxes piled next to the refrigerator, and the living room had boxes piled behind it. And you know what's funny? I began to gain weight. Isn't that interesting? I began to put on actual physical weight. My surroundings were so full, they were busting at the seams, that I myself began to get bigger. I looked down at the scale and said, oh my God, Tiara, that's my right hand's name. I said, Tiara, I just gained 3 pounds. Tiara, I just gained 5 pounds. The stress of not expanding at a time when you need to expand shows up in your physical body. It shows up in the way that you treat yourself. The way that you treat your calling is how you treat yourself. The way that you treat your skill set is how you treat yourself. The way that you treat your ability to answer other needs is how you treat yourself. You start neglecting answering people's needs, you'll notice you start neglecting answering your own needs. Your character as a person in relationships is only a reflection of your character as a person in relation with yourself. If you treat your business a certain way, it's how you treat yourself. If you treat your calling a certain way, it's how you treat yourself. And the more you treat something else a certain way, the more you'll notice it as you treat yourself the same way. Starting a new business and being petrified to grow and build taught me about how afraid I am to grow and build. It taught me about how afraid I am to give myself the room I need, to give myself the space that I need. And I began to see my body gain all this weight, and I was doing so good building and growing in my fitness and in my health. And when I began to treat my business like, no, she'll be fine, I began to treat my body like, no, she'll be fine. So the balance of building a business, building a relationship with other people, building a friendship is all helpful with us learning how to treat ourselves. So I say all that to say we're in the hallway, we're in the kitchen, we're in the living room, there's stuff everywhere. And finally I said, Tiara, this is ridiculous. I said, we gotta not be afraid of answering the need of more people. Guys, I was petrified. What if they're not as nice as our first customers? What if they're not as understanding as our first customers? What if they don't send pretty emails and doctor it up with pleases and thank yous? Like, I was so afraid of the challenge of growing, of becoming better, of expanding, that I squeezed myself into a hole. Girlfriend, don't you know, I went out on my birthday. Everybody said, Chrisette, what are you going to do for your birthday? What are you going to do for your birthday? I said, I'm going to work. I said, I want a new office space, right? This was the beginning of me treating myself better. I want a new office space. This was the beginning of me treating my business better. So we go out on my birthday and we look at a bunch of different office spaces. And in between we stopped and had some tacos or something fun, but I lowered the carbohydrates on it, okay? But we go out and we look for office space. And don't you know, it's going to sound crazy to you. As soon as we found the office space that we needed, I began to lose weight in my physical body. Your body needs to be an answer. Your body craves to be an offering to others. Your body desires deeply to answer a calling. You were literally put here as a human to be useful, and your body craves it. And when you don't do what you need to do, in the business space, in that manifestation space, your body starts to keep the score. It starts to tell you, hey, you're not using me, so I'm just gonna act out. Hey, you're not doing what you need to do with me, so I'm just gonna put some weight on. You can be lazy, it doesn't matter. As soon as we found the office, I lost 1 pound a day, and it hasn't stopped since. My brain turned on. It said, oh, we're working again? Oh, we're at it again? A praying and meditative woman has confidence and clarity in her ability to answer specific needs. And when we get out of alignment with that, when we get out of rhythm with that, our body says something, our life says something, our friends might start to say things. It affects everything. So today I want to encourage you to answer your call. What is it that you can be a consultant in? What are you really good at? And who are you afraid to share it with? Who are you afraid to invest in? A lot of times what our skill set is our the way that we receive territory. If we're brave enough to offer our skill set to a particular group of people, we receive the territory that we sow our skill set into. But we're too afraid to sow into particular people. We're too afraid of people's reaction to our skills. We're too afraid of looking haughty or too high. We're afraid of looking too smart. We're afraid of the confrontation that may happen in the territory that we're called to. I'm so excited to move these boxes out of my place and into this office. I can't even believe that I let myself go through that for those 3 months. I called myself being humble. I called myself, oh, well, we're just starting small. Yeah, you started small, but you're moving big, sis. Pull it together. Go for it. Expand. So to all of my sisters today with a marketplace anointing, with an incredible skill set, with something that you really have to offer, you can be somebody's favor in their territory. You have the ability to be somebody's favor in their territory. That word favor, that other word submission, the idea that you know something and you can share something, you've got the ability to do that. Don't be afraid. Go for it. I hope this helps somebody. It's a really, really big deal for me to be able to share these little things from my heart. I don't know if they sound, cookie cutter and perfect, but they come out the way that they come out. Come hang out with me over at the Inner Peace Academy. It's innerpeace.academy. We've got a really cool Patreon page that's starting up. I'll be sharing some more of my insight on this particular subject and more subjects from my ebook, The Allure of the Praying Woman. You can download the ebook now, The Allure of the Praying Woman, when you go over to innerpeace.academy. Get today's notes right now by putting your email over in our email list at innerpeace.academy. And join the Patreon page. Get the whole entire e-workbook today and join the community where we talk about more stuff like this. Love you guys so much. God bless you. Until next time. Peace.